All right, welcome back to Everything NYJ. I'm your host, Italy Jet. We have a very special guest with us tonight. We have Will Parkinson. Will, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Where can we find you real quick on social media?
Will PA11 on socials usually best way to find me, and Turn on the Jets podcast and anywhere you get your podcast.
Awesome. You do a great job on social media. You do a great job on your podcast. I'm a fan, and I appreciate you coming on the show. I just want to know how this all started for you with social media, podcasting, and how you became a Jets fan.
Yeah, so I guess from a Jets fan perspective, went to training camp when I was like 4 years old back in 98, 99. My grandpa was designing Westside Stadium in like the late 90s, early 2000s. So got to go to training camp and kind of just clicked from there. And from podcasting perspective and all that type of stuff, a couple of years ago, always kind of wanted to do it. Wasn't sure what I wanted to do, with after playing in college and stuff like that, and kind of just got into podcasting, and always been a big Twitter person since I was like in high school, but and kind of just kept it rolling from there.
Awesome, man. So you played college ball, you just said, right?
Yeah.
Where at?
So I played at Towson and then Cortland. Played receiver and tight end. So, pretty slow, but we made it work.
Hey, that's awesome, man. So you said was it your dad or your uncle worked on the
my
stadium?
grandfather. Yeah, my
grandfather.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Fortunately, obviously, did not get built, but can always dream of it. You always look back at the fun pictures that what could have been.
Oh man, that's so cool. Man, it's awesome. I love your tweets are hilarious. I love your tweets, and they're really cool. I've seen you on Boy Green show as well, and you do a great job. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. I just want to know what your thoughts. The season. I'm talking about the Jets mid-season review. What is your thoughts on the Jets so far this season and going into the bye week, because we got the Patriots next week? What do you think on how they're doing so far?
Yeah. So I guess overall, I think it's obviously been a big success. Obviously, first 9 games. I think there's nothing you can't be anything but happy with what you've seen so far. I would say I was optimistic. Could they get to 4-5 at the bye week? Maybe get to 5-4, and obviously you start off week 1. You're going, wow, the defense is much better, but this is pretty ugly. And obviously with Joe Flacco and stuff like that, even after the Browns game, which obviously is a huge moment in the season, obviously getting that first win off your belt, kind of breaking some demons, the road wins, the September wins, all that stuff. And then again, Bengals game happens. You're like, all right, Bengals are a really good team, but now 0-2 at home, a couple stinkers at home. As bad as the Steelers are, getting Zach back in the lineup, being able to kind of get him rolling, having him be a big reason why you win that football game. I think you got to be happy with how they've evolved, obviously, through the next 4 or 5 weeks in a row, or winning 5 or 6, and outside of that Patriots game, it's been straight good vibes for almost 2 months now. So yeah, look, they're 6-3. They're in the thick of the division race, thick of the playoff hunt, and I think even an optimistic Jets fan was hoping, just be relevant by December. Now that they're not only relevant,
Yes,
they're a team that can potentially make some noise, in January and February, which is, I think, probably a year ahead of schedule. But nonetheless, it's obviously a very good thing.
Man, I couldn't agree more. Definitely. I think when it comes to the team, I think some people are like, oh, I knew we would be here. And then some other people are like, But I think we're shocking the world right now overall, and I think it's a great feeling because, how long have you been a Jets fan for?
Since like 98, so it's 24 years pretty much.
Nice. I've been one since I was 9, so I think for me around 2000, I think. And
yeah, so pretty much similar timeline.
Exactly. So it's just a good time to be a Jets fan because you just don't think of it or hear of it. It's been like since Rex Ryan and Todd Bowles days.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I know people we joke about. Kevin Clark joked about it the other day.
Yeah,
he's like, oh, the obnoxious Jets fan. Like, yeah, man, people are going to be pretty obnoxious right now. It's been tough, tough last 7 years and pretty much tough last, decade plus. I think people forget how, pretty respectable and good the franchise was for, a 12 to 15 year period there from, late 90s through, through 2010, 2011 range. And then obviously kind of all collapsed. And having some stability at head coach, having stability at GM, a
Yes,
young
sir.
roster now, it's just very different than, it's very different than a lot of those teams. Even the 2008, 2009, 2010 team, there was a nucleus of, Revis and David Harris and Bergstraw, Ferguson and Mangold that are homegrown guys, but it was a lot of, veteran kind of stopgap guys, even, a Faneca, Damian Woody, all those guys who were great. And, but at the end of the day, they were kind of towards the end of their career, in a sense, or, some of them in their prime, some of them not. But you look at this team and it's so many homegrown year one, year two, year three Jets, which is making this team even more exciting than I think, they would have been exciting, but the fact that they're guys that you can see here for a long time is making it even better.
I couldn't agree more. Amazing stuff. Vinny, how you doing, buddy? Vinny, what's up? What's up, Will? Good to see you, and good to see you here. I usually catch up with you with Jake. Yeah, you're on Jake quite a bit. You guys are a great duo as well, and so is you and Boy Green as well.
Thank you. Try to provide some good stuff,
Oh, always. I actually have an interesting question because I know this has been, fluctuating everywhere. It's been going everywhere about Sauce and Reed. Are they the best duo in the NFL? Are they the best duo in the AFC East? What are your thoughts on Reed and Sauce so far?
Yeah, so I guess from Reed and Sauce perspective, I mean, this has been a, fantastic first, 8-9 games for them. DJ Reed's a guy who, anyone you talked to in Seattle, was upset to lose him. Talking to some people that covered him the last couple of years, really good player. Thought he was a middle of the road number one, really high end, probably the best number two in the league. And with Sauce being that one, I think, I love Sauce coming out. I think everyone kind of, people that cover the draft love Sauce coming out, but the expectations were so high, and the fact that he's not only achieved them, but honestly probably surpassed them at this point is pretty crazy to think about for a guy who's taken fourth overall, was already getting compared to Revis and guys like that, and then comes in and is playing. I'm not saying he's playing at peak Revis level, but the fact that year one he's already this dominant is something special. I would say the trio of Carter, Sauce, and Reed's probably the best trio in the league. I would probably lean slightly towards James Bradbury and Darius Slay right now is the best in the league, but you can make a really good argument that Sauce and DJ Reed are one. And the trio of them is definitely number one. The fact that the Jets have an elite level slot corner, an elite level, cornerback one, elite level cornerback two, and then they have depth there, is something that you can't really, you can't really argue with. So yeah, I would say they're either one or two, and they're definitely the best trio, I think, at the moment in football.
Man, I couldn't agree more. Carter's been coming every single game. He's been getting better every single time he's out there, especially from last year as well. It's been a great surprise, but I know some people aren't shocked. For me, I'm in the middle. I love Carter. I love what he's done. I love the backup that he brings with Eccles as well, because I know Eccles has been very strong as well. We're going to say here to Mr. Bizzani. Bizzani, gentlemen, how you doing? And then we got Sauce was a steal. Very appreciative that Houston took Stingley. I was one of those. I wanted them to take Stingley because I'm a huge Sauce Gardner fan. I followed them with Cincinnati as well. So it was a great steal for us.
Yeah, I mean, look, Stingley's played really well. He was an impressive prospect. There's people in the Jets building that like Stingley as their cornerback one. They didn't have the choice. It's the same thing with the Drake London debate that happened. All draft season was who the Jets like. The Jets like Drake London a lot, but guess what? Drake London wasn't there, so there was no debate. They were going to take Garrett Wilson. Same thing when you look at Stingley and Sauce. The Jets loved Sauce. They got their guy. You could see how excited they were. I think it's the character. I think it's the ability on the field. He's built like a unicorn built in a lab. However you want to. You shouldn't be able to be that big and be able to move that fast. And the long arms, everything you could. Technique is really good. There's, So I mean, look, I don't know. I want to say he was a steal at 4 because I'm not really sure like how much higher he was going to go in a draft like last year. I mean, I guess you could have gone 1. But taking a corner 1 would have been impressive. But look, I think the Jets were in the perfect position. They got the best player probably in the draft as of now at fourth overall. Stingley's going to have a nice career, but the Texans are a total mess. And Sauce is one of the best players, if not probably a top three best player on a team that's in the playoff hunt right now. And he's in New York. He's got a cool nickname. It's a perfect storm, for someone like him.
And I'm trying to catch up. I'm admittedly Jet, so I'm trying to catch up a little bit. I've always wanted to do something like this. So.
There we go. I like it. It's
Thanks,
nice.
Man. Awesome stuff, man. So, I agree with everything you're saying. And also when it comes to Sauce, how people are shocked how quickly he has developed, how quickly he's a threat. And I think people have kind of not only downgraded him one-on-one, with Diggs, because we've had face against Diggs. We've seen some really tough guys, including Hill. They were just kind of shocked, in my opinion. So I think that's going really well for him. My next question for you is rankings. Does this kind of hurt the Jets a little bit, or do you think this is just like a next man up kind of thing, or should we go out and sign someone? What do you think?
I think if there was a time to sign like a Linval Joseph or someone like that, yeah, I would have liked to see the Jets do it. A couple days ago. I guess you could still do it, but get a guy. You want to be able to get a guy up to speed, physical conditioning wise. Get him in your building. I think they're going to roll with Tanzel Smart and Jonathan Marshall, I guess, right now is the next man up. But Sheldon Rankins has been awesome this year. He's a guy that I've tried to tell people, everyone's like, oh, cut him in the offseason.
No.
He had some moments last year that were nice. I think everyone kind of underperformed last year in general. I think we've all seen in Sheldon Rankins' new system, coming off an injury, it's not surprising he struggled at times, but he's been damn good this year. He's been great rushing the passer. He's had some really nice plays in the run game. He's been consistent. So, yeah, it's a big loss, especially going against, New England and Chicago, where you want to be able to take advantage of your interior rushers and, get to Mac Jones early. And often you're going to have to get to Justin Fields and contain him. And, you want to take advantage of that bad offensive line. So it's not Quinton Williams getting hurt, but it's certainly not, some random guy on the roster. This is, it is a significant injury. From what Quinton Williams said, it's, he'll be back sooner rather than later, but I'd be surprised if I feel like you'd probably see him the Vikings game is the most realistic thing, I think. If he's not going to go on IR, which he hasn't already, that's probably a good sign. So, take the bye week, you get another week or two. Hopefully he can heal up and be back for either the Chicago game or Minnesota, but I'd be pretty shocked if he plays against New England.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think the Smart situation and with Marshall, I think that'll be. I think that'll be fine. I don't really know if I want another guy coming in. I've always been like the next man up kind of guy, so I totally agree with you. My next question with you is the injuries. I know the Jets have had a few injuries. Some of them have come back, but I know after the bye week that we're going to be getting some guys back like Davis, maybe Fant, maybe Mitchell. What do you think on those injuries right now? You think we'll get him back?
Yeah, so I think you'll see Max Mitchell. He's been working out. It seems like, more likely than not, you'll see him after the bye. Corey, I would assume we'll see after the bye. Whether it's New England game or Chicago, we'll see one in the next 2 weeks. It would seem like a 4-week injury from what Mike Garafolo had reported. This will be coming up on 4 weeks here for the Patriots game. So George Fant, I'm not sure, just because you've kind of heard nothing. It's been it's pushed back, and maybe we do, but he's been off all year, and he was frankly awful the first couple games. I know he's hurt, didn't really practice a lot during camp. The contract doesn't get done. There's a lot there, so I think you'll see Mitchell for sure. I think you'll see Corey Davis for sure. I would say George Fant's you'll probably see him, but I feel like we'll know more on Monday, just because right now it seems like, he's still not, back to where he wants to be.
Man, I couldn't agree more. Fant's always an up in the air type of guy, but it'd be a huge clutch to have, Mitchell and Davis back for sure.
At least be able to get one of the two guys, would be crucial, and get those guys out there and, kind of shore up that pass protection, as much as you can.
Man, I couldn't agree more. And then Matthias, next man up. Hey, always. You got to say hi to Elmo. If you never heard of Elmo's World, he's always on Let's Talk Radio. He always comes on our show as well. So if you don't say hi to Elmo, he'll make your life a little bit miserable. So what's
How
up,
you
Elmo?
doing? How we doing, man?
And then I almost would rather have Mitchell over Fant. I think we all can agree with that. I know Fant I would say a couple years ago he was good with us, even last year. But I think Mitchell has been a great ad, especially in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think long term Mitchell, will be here. I think Fant's, after this year is likely going to walk. Yeah, I mean, Fant's a better player on paper, but
yes,
again, you want to see Max Mitchell continue to grow, get reps. Obviously, it would be great if he can, long term take that right tackle job as a 4th-round pick. He's a cheap guy for the next couple of years under control. So, I don't think. I don't think that Mitchell is necessarily better, but I think he's more of a long-term fix, and you obviously like to see him continue to get reps out there and grow at right tackle.
For sure. I couldn't agree more. Coaching. Let's talk about coaching. How do you think the Jets have been coached up, especially with the players and the coach up during coming to the bye week? I know Olbrook, we've had some issues with Olbrook, but it seems that's going to be really good now. What are your thoughts, Will, on the coaching so far going into the bye week?
Yeah, so I mean, I think they've had a really impressive year, frankly. At all 3 or at all 4 levels, I guess. I think Salah's had a really nice year. I think he's, generally speaking, done a good job on when to go for it, when not to, kind of reading the room, and kind of the temperature of the locker room. These guys play hard for him. They fly around. They're physical. They're all bought in, which is huge. I think offensively, generally speaking, it's been strong. There's been some times they've gotten some interesting 3rd down calls or gotten away from things, but the second half adjustments have generally been really good. Hasn't gotten a lot of great quarterback play, frankly, through 9 weeks, and to still be, kind of doing what they're doing with all the different, movement at offensive line and all these different injuries, Breece Hall getting hurt, Zach struggling at points, Joe Flacco struggling. I like what LaFleur's done. I think he's really talented, and he seems to get better as the season goes on. Defensively, I think Olbrook's done a fantastic job. I think they adjusted after week 3. I think they sat down. Robert Saleh is way more involved in defense than I think people realize. I think people just assume it's Jeff. People just assume it's Jeff Olbrook. Trust me, Robert Saleh is very much involved. But look, I think he's done a good job. They've rarely blitz at all. They run a ton of stunts, which has been super successful this year. From a defensive line perspective, they get pressure. They mix up the coverages. They had Josh Allen in a blender all day on Sunday. Josh was reading stuff as it was cover 2 or cover 3. It was really cover 6, but it was like it was something you love to see from defensive coordinator to get someone like Josh Allen, forcing the ball and not seeing the field correctly. So look, I think the coaching staff's done well. And Brent Boyer, obviously, they faked a couple punts so far this year. It's worked every time. Outside of, I would say, probably the Bengals, based on all the games they've lost, the special teams from some extent has kind of struggled. But generally speaking, they've done a good job. I'm interested to see if they could pop a kickoff return. Barrios usually gets 1 or 2.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see if he can get one, here soon. But other than that, I think the coaching staff's done a really nice job. And if you look at, if you look at it objectively, this is a team that I believe last year's 32nd in defense. Right now, they're top 5, top 7 unit. Yes, there's more talent, but both sides of the ball, it feels like they're prepared every week. They're not out-coached, and when they have been slightly out-coached, it's not like they're getting walked all over. That's still one-possession games.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things where the coaching has kind of stepped up a lot in not only the last few games, but also just in the last year. Maybe even last year, like with Saleh, it was like he's a defensive mind coach. What are you going to do with that? Hasn't really done it last year, but this year that seems to be really, really different, and I'm very impressed. Now, my next question for you is James Robinson. As we know, Breece Hall is out for the year with the ACL tour. What do you think the acquisition of James Robinson gives for the running back room for the Jets?
Yeah, so no one's going to replace Breece Hall. The dynamism he has both in the pass and the run game. But James Robinson's a talented back. If you can keep him on the field, keep him healthy, he's going to get you. He's a tough physical runner that makes guys miss. So No, I mean, I think you've seen, some good stuff with James Robinson so far. Obviously,
Definitely.
after the bye, he'll get another, week to kind of rest up, get a week in the playbook, continue to build some chemistry there. So obviously was strong down the stretch, against Buffalo there and had a really nice last drive, scored the touchdown, the screen pass. So him and Carter is still a really talented backfield. It's not as talented without Breece Hall again, obviously, but to go out there, take a chance with a 6th-round pick. I think that's what you want to see out of your GM is, be aggressive. That he knows that, knowing the team has a shot here and just kind of going for it and not sitting on, just running out of Ty Johnson or someone like that.
Man, that definitely. And it also says something about James Robinson that we're not giving up. This year is not a dead loss. So I think that's really good what Joe Douglas and Saleh has done so far. My next question for you is Zach Wilson. What does Zach Wilson have to do to be a great quarterback down the stretch after the bye? And what do you think of Zach Wilson so far this season?
Yeah, so Zach conversation is tough, right?
Exactly.
He's a young quarterback. You want to let him develop. I want to see, the completion percentage has got to get better. Generally speaking, I know people are going to be, he throws the ball away. He hasn't thrown the ball away that much.
Right.
You want to see that improve. You want to see him start to, throw some more touchdowns. You want to see him, the lack of, I'd rather see a lot less 100-yard games. That would be nice. But at the same time, they're 5-1 with him as a starter when he takes care of the football and doesn't shoot himself in the foot. You see some of the talent. You see some of the big-time throws. You see the mobility, make people miss. If Zach can just, trust his feet and stay in the pocket, do things the right way, give this team a chance week in, week out, they'll be fine. I think for Zach, it's just not making the big mistake, which happened in the New England game, obviously, that you can't have happen. The 3 interceptions, that game, I need, once he can go up and beat New England, which hopefully he's able to do, obviously, in 10 or 11 days' time, I think then you sit there and you go, okay, now he's overcome those demons. Can we, have some easier defenses coming up? Chicago, Jacksonville, Detroit, even Minnesota to some effect. Once you can start, then he can start padding some stats a little bit, so second half of the year, just continue to see him improve. But, limit those, hopefully we don't see the Patriots game again. Obviously, ideally, if his worst game is, 150, 175 yards, but no turnovers, the Jets probably can win that football game. If his worst game's 3-4 turnovers, that's not going to cut it.
Oh man, dude, I agree. That Patriots game was really stressful because I want to win so bad. I know you want to win so bad with that. So let's hope we can get that revenge game going.
Yeah, that's one of those games that it's you'd love to see them take care of business, up in New England and be able to kind of get over. They've overcome a lot this year.
Yes,
They've
sir.
broken a lot of the, not stereotypes, but, same old Jets situations. I would love to see them be able to, overcome that with the Patriots. Feels like the last one, other than getting in the playoffs, that, they really need to be able to do.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think about Elijah Moore? What do you think that whole situation is like with not only Elijah Moore, but even Mims? What do you think about that situation?
Yeah, so kind of it's like a trend now. If you're a second-year receiver, you find yourself in the doghouse a little bit. It's been nice to see Denzel Mims overcome a little bit and get back to some more of the player he was, as a rookie and coming out. Last year was a mess for him. When it comes to Elijah Moore, look, they're going to start using him in the slot more. He seemed much more engaged last week. I think he wants the ball. He wants to be successful. He's got an agent that, is kind of notorious for trying to get his guys paid and, not so, using social media in a lot of different ways. So, look, I think you want to see Elijah get involved. He's not going to be the number one target guy right now. There's a lot of guys, in the mix for that. But
yeah, definitely.
Super talented player. The Jets need him. If the Jets want to make some noise in the playoffs, you got to have as many talented options, and you hope him and Zach can kind of, build some chemistry here again and, get Elijah involved with a couple of targets would be nice. And, get him rolling. But yeah, look, man, the Elijah thing was tough. I think a lot of people were
Yeah.
super frustrated, but at the same time, it's hard to ignore the talent, on the field. And he's a guy that his teammates love, and you love to see them, be able to get him involved, more often, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with that tight wide receiver room that we have, it can take us a very long way. So I was just wondering what you think, since you've been a Jets fan since '98. Um, Jets fans overall. I know you know how Twitter is, you know how Instagram can be, you know how Facebook can be, you know how TikTok can be. Does this season kind of give Jets fans hope on a wild card berth or maybe next year playoffs? Is this a good trend the Jets are going? And do you think it won't stop? What do you think?
Yeah, so I think, look, they're in a good situation right now. You obviously
Yes,
want to
sir.
see them continue to, see they got to continue to stack wins, get themselves in the playoffs, and then anything can happen. The experience this year, obviously, will be huge, and kind of years to come, and kind of getting battle tested, quote unquote. And obviously, again, a young team, you want to see them playing the biggest games, kind of break that stigma of the Jets playoff. We can start talking about playing meaningful games in December, and now it's talking about getting to the playoffs. Yeah, from a Jets fan perspective, again, try to enjoy it. The world's not collapsing every week. The world, the Jets aren't winning the Super Bowl every week. I know it's difficult, and it's you want to be as excited as possible, and when they lose, everything sucks. But look, I think people have waited a long time. They want to feel passionate about their team. And, a lot of people feel scarred and whatever over the last, 5, 10, 15 years. And I get it. But at the same time, you obviously, you got to want to try to enjoy this, because, they haven't, if they win 2 more games, they will have won that amount of games in, what 7 years. So look, there's some more winnable games in the schedule. It's a passionate fan base. I'd like to see people continue to go to games. It's nice when the stadium's as loud as it was. A few days ago, that was fantastic. So, for the Bears, Lions, and Jags game, you'd love to see fans pack it out and be 95% Jets fans.
Oh man, especially with the full house, especially with the Bills. Like the Bills, I was 50-50, but man, that Patriots game, woo. And Patriots fans don't, I know me and you have talked a little bit about that, but Patriots don't travel well. So it was really nice seeing a full stadium. And I hope we just keep that going in a way we are just rocking right now.
Yeah, you want to see them, continue to get MetLife as loud as possible and stuff like that. Yeah, I'd be thrilled to see that.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have a couple comments here, and I got one more question for you. And
Yeah.
then I believe in Zach Wilson, but what has happened for you guys to be 100% convinced the Jets need to roll with them for year 3? Yeah, I mean, you got to give the dude 3 years, in my opinion. I don't make my judgment until the end of the season as well. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not fully. He's going to 100% be back next year, but it's trending towards that if he continues to improve. There's a lot more games like the Bills game, like the Miami game, like the Pittsburgh game, or even he'll be back here. If there's a lot more games like the Patriots game, or to some extent the Packers game, he may or may not. We'll see. But I mean, you want to give a guy, 25, 30, 35 starts before you start, making a judgment. But yeah.
no, I agree with you 100%. Boyer is a very good coach. The O-line coach needs props. Needs props also. Yeah, they've all have done a very good job. Boyer has been through 2 coaches with the Jets, and he's still here with Saleh. He's done a great job. Our O-line coach as well. All the coaches have done so good, and I'm really happy to see all that. But for you, Will, my last question for you is, like I said, you've been a Jets fan since '98. Who is your all-time favorite Jets player on offense, defense, and coach? It's hard. It's hard.
So I'll give you 2 answers for offense, because it's a little like
Yeah, go for it.
Keyshawn's number 1 for me. He's the reason I started playing football. His first reason I played receiver. So Keyshawn's always going to be one that probably will never change. Same reason, like Alfonso Soriano's my favorite Yankee. It's because
Oh yeah.
he gets called up in 2000. I'm 6 years old. You're playing little league and like whatever.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So Curtis Martin, I would say, is probably 2 for me. One of the nicest guys in the world. met the guy a million times. I'd launch it. Just unbelievable dude. Defensively, I'll probably go Revis. I would say Revis is it's tough to kind of disagree with. He's probably the best Jets player ever. So I'll go probably Keyshawn, Revis, and then coach. I'm going to go weirdly with Herm Edwards here. And this is only because personally, again, just like so many, I have really good personal experiences with him, but
Cool.
in terms of
That's
meeting him
awesome.
stuff as a kid, but it's hard to, I would have said Rex. It's just the end there with Rex got a little ugly, and look, Salah's well on his way. If he starts winning here, I think he'll skyrocket right up to 1 pretty quickly, I'm sure.
Oh, especially for a lot of people, the way his all gas, no brakes and receipts thing keeps going, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's just somebody that's, seems like he's just a genuinely good dude. And I think people are pretty bought in. And if you're able to kind of change this thing and, it'd be a big plus for them if they're able to do so.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So for me, it's Joe Namath and Wayne Corbett on offense. And then on defense, it's definitely Revis. I mean, what Revis has done is just unbelievable. And then also on defense, I'm going to go – it's hard, but I'm going to go with – I think I'm going to go with Sauce right now. Like, I really love Sauce Gardner. And then the coach, I would have said Mancini because he's Italian stuff. But, I think for me, I might have to go with Rex in the early rounds. I know the end, just like with Revis at the end, right? So I totally understand that, but I think that's who I would go with, honestly.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. Will, I appreciate you being on the show, man. Where could they follow you again?
Yeah, so in the handle and where my name is, and then Turn on the Jets Podcast, Apple, I'll be back on Spotify this week.
Nice.
Yeah, so anywhere, got Will Parks on and Justin Hardy this week, and then a few other episodes. Nice. Yeah, a few other episodes coming out next week. So some good insights the second half of the year, and keep up the great work, man.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. And you too, brother. You're doing great.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, definitely. So, guys, you can follow us at Everything NYJ Podcast and on these social media platforms. You can follow me, Italy Jet, on these social media platforms. It's the bye week. We're taking a break. We'll see you back on Monday. And I still got a few more shows I'm doing tomorrow and Friday. You can catch those. I'll keep everybody updated. Follow Will on Spotify and his podcast as well. Guys, this has been great. Will, thank you, man. Stay safe. Have a great bye week. Jet up, everybody.